I'm sure the vast majority of my audience has seen the news coming out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have lost yet another F-35 Lightning II aircraft. Now, I'm going to be probably not the first, but one of the more recent voices just come out and say it. The aircraft, for all of its amazing technology, is just not worth it. Until something changes, the cost associated with this aircraft, when you couple it with how many have been lost in non-combat situations, it's just a waste of money. And given the financial situation this country's in right now, this needs to be shelved. This needs to be mothballed until at some point in the future they can figure out what's going on. Now, what if I told you this particular issue that happened in Albuquerque has given us an opportunity, though, to catch the Biden administration in a bit of hypocrisy and a lie? The picture, of course, on the left, everybody is living through Biden inflation, the cost of voting stupid. But some might look at the picture in the lower right and say, what does this have to do with Donald Trump and all those women he's surrounded by? Well, it's real simple. Things have gotten bad enough in this country now that it doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter what Donald Trump does now because of the amount of financial suffering that is going on across all stratas of the income world. He could literally, I'm going to say this right now, Donald Trump could literally come out right now and say, you know what? I'm going to open an OnlyFans. We need some more income coming in because of all these legal issues. I'm going to open an OnlyFans. It's going to have my wife and my daughter, and there's going to be Playboy bunnies. And he would still win the election. That's how bad it is. Now, what if we caught Joe Biden saying, his administration, about this issue with what's going on with Trump and the F-35 and all the money? Well, it's going to be a little bit complicated, but once I show it to you, it's going to make perfect sense. Now, as if that's not controversial enough, we've got a video coming up over at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel that's going to make this seem tame. There are some issues going on right now in military intelligence that would absolutely make your jaw hit the floor if you knew about them. What if I told you that they're looking into this issue with loofahs in the Villages, Florida? Now, I'm not going to get into it here, not on YouTube. If you know, you know. If you know what this is about, then you'll wonder, why would MI care about this? Well, it's real simple. Think about the concept of anonymous communication. Anonymous coded communication. Now, if you'd like to join us for that video and many, many, many others, it's only $1 per month at the Florida Monkey Patreon channel. That's it. $1 a month. Even less if you sign up for an entire year, and fully refundable. First 90 days, no questions asked. You pledge your dollar, you go over there, you have access to hundreds of videos going back literally more than half a century, really, because the video started back 2018. Hundreds of videos. And you can kick the tires. You can watch all sorts of psychological operations training, tactics, and techniques. It's what I did in the military. Definitely worth the $1 for sure. Now, let's get right to it. There has been another F-35 go down Albuquerque Airport, this time New Mexico. 28 May 2024. An F-35 crashed near Albuquerque International. Sunport. Images show the explosion. Emergency team trying to extinguish the fire. Basically, the idea is this: right after takeoff. Once again, right after takeoff. Now, it's just not worth it to me. The helmet alone, the helmet for the operator alone, costs $400,000. And if we lost one, have we lost two? We've lost over a dozen in non-combat activities. They are insanely expensive. Now, this is where we get the Biden administration. I've brought up the wiki on this on accidents and notable incidents. First F-35 crash, 28 September 2018. 9 April, a little over 6 months later, 2019. May of 2020. September 2020. March of 21. November of 21. January of 22. Two of them. One in South Korea and another one on the Carl Vinson. October 22. December 22. September 23. May 24. Just on and on and on. And these things cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, here's where we get Biden. F-35s cost $2 trillion as Pentagon plans longer use, says Watchdog. The F-35 Joint Strike Fighter's total cost expected to top $2 trillion over its entire lifespan. Given the U.S. military plans to fly it longer, inflation is rising, and the Pentagon's efforts to rein in expenses are largely falling short. Wait a minute. This is Monday, April 15th, 2024. Wait a minute. Inflation is rising. Inflation is rising. Well, here's May 15, 2024. You see, whenever somebody from the United States says, I'm voting for Donald Trump because I can't afford groceries anymore, all the liberals come out and say, oh, inflation's not as bad as what that's really being said. This is more corporate greed. It's just not. Look at how many people flew. That's the favorite one after the holiday. Look at the record number of people who are traveling because of the holidays. People really have money. This is really a trick of Donald Trump's crowd. They're trying to make it seem worse than what it is. How many of you have heard this malarkey? Oh, but when it's the military and they want to cut a program, and in this particular case, I don't think it's that bad of an idea, given that, do you know how many F-16s, F-15s, F-16s, F-18s we could crash for the cost of an F-35? Heaven help, we lose a pilot. You see, when it comes to the military, oh my goodness, the government accounting office, it's inflation is driving up the cost of this. It's just too expensive. But when it comes to your groceries, it's just a make-believe trick of Donald Trump's supporters. You see, people get it. People get it. The economy's in flames right now. And I'm not trying to sound un-American, but part of being an American is being able to look at things rationally and saying, do we need 22 aircraft carriers? For those of you who don't think we have that many, look it up. Do we really need hundreds of these F-35s, given that we've got one dropping out of the sky for no good reason about every 6 months, burning up hundreds of millions of dollars? I mean, think about this for just a minute. You see, they're caught. You show them this article and say, Mr. Biden, I thought you said that the inflation issue was just an invention of Donald Trump. Apparently, when it comes to F-35s, though, and the government accounting office, it's not. The revised estimate is up from 1.6. Let's see if I get this right. The price tag represents an increase from the $1.7 trillion lifetime cost the GAO previously reported in September of 23. That was like, what, 8 months ago? 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9. 1.6 trillion in sustainment costs, a 44% increase from the 1.1 trillion. 442 billion in acquisition costs. Over $2 trillion for a plane they're losing one every so many months in training for no good reason. They still haven't explained what happened in Charleston, South Carolina, where they couldn't find one for 30 hours, even though it was on the ground and smoldering. It was on the ground and smoldering right off the end of the runway, literally about a mile downrange, maybe 2. And they couldn't find it for 30 hours. And once again, these are all the instances where there was an actual crash. There have been other instances like this one in 2014 where the engines just caught on fire down here at Eglin. I mean, it's just one after the other. And the cost is just, given the situation we're in, just not worth it. And I'll say it again. I'll say it again right now. Because, pardon me, because of the financial situation of North Americans, there is literally nothing Joe Biden can do to win in November. Short of, if they had the ability, cutting every single taxpayer a check for about $25,000. That would be probably about it. But even then, I don't know. Even then, I don't know. But we got them. We got them. You see, when you talk about inflation in the context of living expenses for Americans, then they say, oh, it's Donald Trump's lie. It's just a thing where the Trump supporters are just making it way worse than what it is. But when it comes to cutting a military program, the GAO is the biggest reason that things are so much more expensive. The F-35, inflation. Ask them to explain it. They can't. So I will leave that there. Once again, if you'd like to get read in on what's going on with military intelligence, what they're looking at, and why they are afraid, deathly afraid, of somebody figuring out what the loofah crowd has done, join us. I know there's a lot of folks out there that don't have the ability to suppress the 9-year-old inside them, and they're probably already typing about this. But when you cool off the emotions and you think about the concept of anonymous, coded communications between certain groups of people and the role that could play in a power down, grid down into the world situation, all of a sudden, this idea of blue loofah, purple loofah, black loofah, white loofah, golf carts, different color shirts, upside down pineapples, all of a sudden it takes on a very different, much more ominous tone. We'll get into it at the Patreon channel, and for obvious reasons, we can't get into that here. So I will leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.